Hello and welcome to the Kove 450 mods overview. In this video I'm going to talk about all the different mods and add-ons that I've added onto the Kove. I'm going to be going over protection mods, performance mods, navigation mods, and comfort and functionality mods, and also a little bit about some future mods. Additionally, I have recently had the opportunity to ride with Dirt Byk, our resident YouTube Kove 450 expert, and I was very happy to be able to get a chance to ride with him. He's an awesome dude, great rider, and I would say after meeting him I have even more respect for his opinion on motorcycles. He definitely knows what he's talking about, and you can trust what he says about the Kove 450 or about any bike really. So I hope you enjoy that footage as well from our ride. And I'll also be talking about some comparisons between my bike and his bike. There's a lot of similarities of course, but there are some differences as well. So I hope you find that useful and interesting as well. Finally, I'll talk about some of the future videos that I have. One is going to be a comparison with my KLX 300 and the Kove 450. The 1,000 mile review is coming up pretty soon. Just over 900 miles on the bike right now. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so starting off with protection mods, I have the Cycra Pro-Bin Ultra handguards. Those are a good choice for the Kove 450 because they come with bar inserts that will fit the somewhat larger diameter of the Kove standard handlebars. In the future I may be going to a different handlebar, but I'm okay with the stock one for right now. Other protection that I've added, I've put the crash protection pucks up on the lower part of the front gas tanks. I think those are critical to have. You really want to protect your gas tanks as much as you can. I have added a front brake caliper guard. I've added a rear master cylinder guard. I've added the SXS skid plate, and I think that's about all I've added for protection. So on to performance mods. I've upgraded the exhaust to the Pro exhaust. I purchased that from Uncle Wangs, and it replaces the entire stock exhaust with titanium exhaust and more of a straight pipe. And I've also added the race ECU, which I had reflashed from KoveUSA, to the race 2.0 version. And moving on to functionality and navigation and comfort mods, I've added the Uncle Wong's navigation tower, which is purchased from Uncle Wong's. It's the Nav Tower B, and I think it's a really great looking tower, but it does require you to be very careful about how you tighten down all the bolts. You're really going to need a lot of Loctite and making sure you have everything really torqued down and really secure. I've had it come loose on me a couple different times now, and I've had to change around things a little bit, especially the mount that I had for my DMD tab. And that brings me on to the DMD tab, which I have added to the bike. I'm just barely getting used to using it. I really don't have a lot to say about it other than that so far it seems very nice, very useful. And now that I have it securely mounted on the bike, it's going to be great for future rides. I will say that in direct sunlight, it's almost not bright enough. I believe the brightness of the screen is 800 nits, and it's probably just bright enough to see in bright sunlight, but I think if it was around 1,000 nits, that would probably be better. But that said, if you're not in direct sunlight, you can definitely see it, and it works well. Other comfort mods I've added, I've put on the taller windscreen, which has been great. It's really reduced wind buffeting. It's made the highway much more comfortable. I'm at the point now where I really do not worry about doing 50, 70 miles on the highway. I think anything up to around 100 miles would really not be a problem at all. It's very comfortable. The bike has plenty of power, and really just quite happy with how it performs now with the taller windscreen. Now on to future mods. I definitely plan to put on a lower seat. Seat Concepts is now selling their seat for the Kove 450, but so far they do not have low or high seat options. So I am looking forward to seeing if they are going to have those, and when they do, I will get the low seat. If for some reason that doesn't happen, I might consider getting a low seat from Alibaba, but I think it's probably not going to be nearly as comfortable as the Seat Concept seat, so I'm waiting on that. That's probably going to be one of the last mods that I do. Another thing that I am considering after comparing my bike with dirt bikes is the Recluse clutch. It certainly seems like a very nice thing to have in technical terrain, in slow, rocky, more hard enduro kind of terrain. Not the kind of terrain I plan to ride a lot of, but to be a little more comfortable in those areas, certainly welcome. But the Recluse clutch is very expensive, so I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. I'm not going to rush into it, but it does seem like a nice addition for some situations. I also have the DMD remote that I'll mount on my handlebars. I already have it in, I just have not decided how I'm going to do all the wiring yet. There's some things I need to figure out with how the bike is wired stock to help me decide how I want to wire that. But once I decide on that, I will have the DMD remote wired, and that will give me handlebar controls for the DMD tablet, as well as the ability to scroll like a road book, something like that. And I am planning to change out the stock tires very soon. Next week, I will probably be putting on new tires. I think I'm going to go with a Motaz RAL Z for the rear tire, and probably a golden tire on the front. But I think that's going to be a very welcome improvement to the bike, as the stock tires, I learned recently the stock tires do not do so well in loose terrain, where you are fighting for grip. They just don't quite cut it there. But they're good in terrain that has more grip naturally, kind of intermediate or a little bit harder terrain that's not too dusted. But here in Arizona, we have a lot of very loose terrain and sand, so I look forward to putting some grippier tires on. So during my recent ride with Dirt Byk, I was lucky enough to try his bike, and I noticed immediately that the suspension is better set up than mine. I'm definitely going to be softening up my suspension, and I think that most people are going to find the Kove 450 to be sprung pretty hard, and I think most people would benefit from just softening of everything and then slowly dialing it back up. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I can tell from trying his bike that it's certainly going to improve the handling and the comfort. The next thing I noticed is that he's got much more grip with the off-road knobby tires that he has, so I'm really looking forward to changing out the stock tires. And then of course the Recluse clutch. I didn't really get to try that extensively, but I found that it can certainly be very nice. So on his bike, he has the flywheel advance key, which I do not, and he also has a 51 tooth sprocket in the rear, which I have the stock 49 tooth sprocket. So the biggest difference there was that there's more of a gradual pull through the gear on my bike, whereas on his bike the power comes on immediately and the revs jump up immediately. So I think it's really going to come down to personal preference, because I do not think there was a clear winner, so to speak, of one bike is just better than the other in everything. Your preference is going to be, do you prefer to have immediate power, very fast responsive power, or do you prefer to have more of a slower gradual build of power? And so my bike without the timing advance key and with the stock gearing, it's still quite fast, but the power does not come on extremely quickly. And I find that to be good in some situations, and in other situations I also liked the way the power came on Dirt Byk's bike. So there's really no one correct way to do it, but I think that I've decided that I will stay with the 49 tooth sprocket, and it's partly because of the fact that I do intend to do highway riding, and I like to have some of that top end. And it's my thinking that if I do go to the flywheel advance key, I believe that the more immediate power from the flywheel key, the 49 tooth sprocket should be okay on there because of the immediate power that you get, and that would still allow me to preserve some top end for the highway segments that I do. That being said, I think if you're going to purely be riding the bike off-road and not really using it as a traditional dual sport, more like a plated dirt bike, you might be better off with the timing advance key, and you'd probably be better off with a 50 or 51 tooth sprocket. Alright, so that's all I have today about mods. A final word on that. The majority of the mods and add-ons that I have put on the bike have all been very fast and furious, and I have not really had much time to test most of them. So I cannot really say right now which ones I would recommend or not recommend. Certainly crash protection is absolutely worth it. In hindsight, I probably would have put more crash protection on my exhaust because it is more exposed than on previous bikes I've had, and it's already a bit banged up, but I'll just have to live and learn there because I have not had a bike with a more exposed exhaust before. And again, these are all just the perspectives of an average Joe rider. I'm not coming from any kind of racing background, so I'm also not coming from very expensive high performance bikes. So just keep that in mind. This is just how I see things as an average Joe rider. So upcoming videos I'm working on is a comparison of the Kove 450 with my previous bike, the KLX 300. Of course, there'll be a comparison about the two bikes, differences, pros and cons. But also I want to talk about really who would be in the market for a bike like the KLX or a bike like the Kove 450, and how I think if you are coming from things the way that I am, the Kove 450 is probably going to be better option for you, but I will go into detail on that in the next video. And also the 1,000 mile review should be coming very shortly after that as well. And if you have any questions or things that you'd like me to address in that review, please just let me know, or any other questions in general. And once again, I would like to thank Dirt Byk for the opportunity to ride with him. It was a great experience. I look forward to doing that again in the future. And I thank everyone very much for watching, and I hope the video was useful and informative for you.
So much deeper. Here, turn it off.
Oh yeah. What was you saying?
Wow.
Yeah, I could put a DB killer in here, I guess.
Man, I think it's because of the diameter of the actual system. It makes it so much throatier.
Okay.
You know, like this one still has the stock header on it.
Yeah.
And then the pipe that actually goes back from there has gotten smaller.
Yeah.
Because I got some random exhausting that I had them weld up for me.
Yeah.
So I think I am choking it, I think, you know?
Well, you're saying it's feeling pretty good after you put the arrestor in, right?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good, but man, that thing just sounds like it's like, wow, like it's a monster. I'm interested to ride it, but we'll go.
Yeah, I can tell you, man, like, I mean, no kidding, the power like went up when I put that thing on.